Welcome back, you beautiful people, to the Real Collective podcast. I am Sean Tasse, joined by my illustrious co-host, Kyle Miller. Kyle, happy day to you. It is the end of May. By the time this episode is aired, it's probably going to be mid-June. And the conversation of this topic today, or the topic of conversation today, is summer starts now. It is over. We're both wearing golf shirts. You're actually going golfing. I just wore it to look good, which I feel like, and it's silky, it's smooth, it feels nice. It's good. How you doing?
Oh, living the dream, as usual. Yeah,
Yes.
the charity golf tournaments are out, and that's it's always a nice way to spend an afternoon. So I don't get to a ton of them, but the ones I do get to, I definitely enjoy. Not because the golf is I'm not good. I'm just not good. So
June
it is what it
Sember,
is.
June Sember they call it, where it's like golf tournaments and all these different. Your kids are doing this and that and the other, and you got to go and hang out at their school and see their end of year plays and all that kind of jazz. So June is busy, and so that's the idea, especially in the real estate world, that hey, summer starts now. People who were shopping in the springtime, hoping to move in the summer, they've bought. Like Victoria Day weekend, that's about it. We're seeing that effect right now, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we do, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone you think might like this conversation. You can download the Calendly links below, book an appointment directly into Kyle or my calendar. You can also download the buyer or seller guides below. You can also find a link to Magic Mind, our sponsor, a little bit more about them later in the comments down below. But we were just talking off camera, Kyle, a little bit about what you're seeing about people who are reaching and hoping. And I was telling you a little bit about what I saw history of last year and where we're lined up this year. What are you seeing? Not in the mortgage world, but what are you seeing in terms of the real estate market, the price points, sales activity?
Well, yeah, prices. I mean, the prices are coming in are obviously they're still really robust. Like I don't want to use the term good,
Yeah,
but it's just they're higher.
yeah,
But but values have definitely held, and you definitely see the movement in in the fact that the right priced houses move,
mm,
right? Like I interact with a lot of agents. I see a lot of listings that come across different social feeds and whatnot. And there's lots of them I try to interact with in terms of like, hey, I'll do, I'll put out a video or I'll do something like that. And lots of times I don't even have the opportunity because it hits and then it's sold. But the common theme across everything is that the right priced home will sell, and that's what's doing. And price point isn't even like it's a big deal, but every price point has its market,
yeah,
and that theme has stayed the same, right? Somebody else might be saying, how could it sell? How could $1 million house sell, in a day? Well, because they sold their home for the right price, and they're coming in super fired up with a lot of equity to put in
yeah,
to it. So it's done and it's the right priced home.
yeah,
And if it's not, it sits. Like that's the
yeah.
thing. So it's that's just a common theme, and it might seem like, well, duh, but that's the strategy. That's what's winning from what I see just coming across my desk. That's not my bag, that's yours. But
Yeah.
it just seems to be anecdotally holding true.
I always say that you want to be the best deal going. And so if you don't show the best, your price has to be offset. If you've got something funky about it, you back onto a main road, you're tenant occupied, you've got this, that, or this that's wrong with it, you have to be so good of a price that people are like, yeah, you know what? I'll take it because the price is so good. I don't mind that it's tenant occupied. I'll take that risk. I don't mind that it backs onto a major street because I think the value is so good, right? So yeah, and I've got two great examples about properties that we released right after May 2-4 weekend, Victoria Day weekend, and two different sagas that they've gone through. We released different houses, but we released them both at the exact same price, 7,999. And talking about the first one, it's a semi in Canada that has tenants and backs onto a busy street. The other one is a detached house in Champlain Park that is on a 50 by 100-foot lot, and it's a small, older style, 40s built, uh, you know, 1.5 story sort of house, right? Totally different product. same price point. And the math said that both of them should list for $7,999, right? All of the comparables were pointing to, yep, this is the right price. Now, one property, the one in Champlain Park, had a bunch of showings, 7, 8 showings in the first week. Busy open house. There were 15 groups through at the open house, and still trickled down as showings. And within a week, it was conditionally sold. Now it's conditionally sold as we're talking now, but suffice it to say that when a house sells that quickly, it typically sells for pretty close to what it's listed for, right? Versus the other one in Canada, still sitting. So a week goes by, one person, no showings booked. One person shows up to the open house. They're not moving until January next year. Talk to the client. I'm like, hey, look, we've got to drastically amend your price. And so he's like, well, you know what? I don't feel like I'm super keen on dropping the price by $50,000, after a week of no activity. I said, well, you're going to miss the boat. Like summer is coming, like winter is coming, Jon Snow, summer is coming, right? And summer means you no longer get spring prices. So no showings essentially in a week. So he dropped the price, down to $779. I said, that's gotta be $749, and dropped to $779 and no showings. So he's like, okay, I hear you, $749.9, let's give it a try. I'm like, we got to go. Like, this is what it is. I'm sorry to tell you, the market's responding, and the market's giving us feedback. We have to respond quickly, because the longer we wait, the worse it's going to get. Unless we wait until spring, unless we wait until fall, right? Like, we're coming on at the end of the season. Let's go. And I think that we're more in line with fair market value now. So I'm expecting that we're going to start to get some activity, some traction. So we'll see. The saga will continue. But all of the comparables show that it should be listed at $799 and sell for about $790. But the market responded really quickly. They gave us the insight right away. So it was very interesting to see, and I'm glad that the client was able to pivot as quickly as he did. But what I'm telling all my clients is, hey, if you're not getting the looks, it's because you're not the best deal going right now. So you've got to be the best deal going. You've got to get, there's another property that we have listed that's in Greeley. It's a bungalow in Greeley. There's 30 bungalows in Greeley right now. And so
for sale?
Yeah. 30 bungalows in Greeley. And we're just one. So it's like, how do we make sure that we're the next one that sells, as opposed to sitting and waiting? Because there's staging furniture in there. All that costs money, right? So we always say, hey, we do the three, most agents do the 3 Ps of real estate. They put a sign on the front lawn, they put it on MLS, and they pray that someone else will come along and sell it. That's what most agents do, right?
Hopium. Hopium is a great drug.
Opium, the pray.
Yeah. Pray. Yeah.
Please, someone come sell it. But what we do, and what we pride ourselves in doing, is the other 2 Ps. We're promoting it, right? We're holding open houses. We're running advertising campaigns. We're pushing it out to potential buyers, right? So we're promoting it. And lastly, we do the 4th and 5th P that most people don't. We proactively price watch. We're out there, we're looking to see, hey, what else can people buy, and how do we make sure that we're the best deal going? And so, this idea of listening to the market feedback and repositioning quickly, especially as the market turns, a lot of appraisals will come back really well in the summertime, because appraisers use the past 90 days, right? But what we're seeing is, in the summer, the activity is down. And so if we price your house based on the sales that happened in the springtime, it's not going to hit. We have to be a better deal going, because the buyer pool has bought. Now we're stuck with the people who didn't get a chance to buy, and the people who didn't get a chance to buy didn't bid enough to be able to buy the house. So they don't think your house is worth as much as the people who bought it in the springtime. So you've got to be the best deal going if you want to sell in the summertime. So summer starts now. It is time to price your house. We see normally about a 5% swing in prices from springtime to summertime. If you want your house sold, you got to be in that 5% less than. That's the key. That's the strategy right now. So if we're talking
the other thing too is, and again, the nerd part of me and just what we do, is you have to understand, you want to take the time to dig into it with your finance person. I do this on every pre-approval that comes in where we're selling a house is I have the simplest, dinkiest little calculator that I give to everybody saying, you sell your house for this, pay off these expenses. That's why I ask for your mortgage statement up front so we know what we're getting into, and then we can estimate a penalty. Like, it's never exact, but we can estimate it. And your commissions we're paying, all that. This is what you're going to net, right? On your next purchase that you want to do, this is how much you need,
Yeah.
right? As a bare minimum, down payment, closing costs, like all of that. So now marry those two numbers,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
lot of people don't look at that, and they just take it personally of, I wanted 790. You're, Sean, telling me that I get 750. Now I don't have enough money. Are
Right.
you sure? Right? Like, maybe you don't. Maybe there is a bottom line where you're like, Sean, I can't not sell this. I can't sell for 750. If we have to sell for 750, I'm not selling. Right? Maybe there is that bottom line number.
Right.
But understanding what your range is and what's going to be left over and what the situation looks like, it takes, again, it's such an emotional game. If you can get enough of it down to numbers to just be confident, I think you can ride those emotions better.
Yeah.
Like, now you get to say, oh shit, I really wanted 790. But if you sell at 750 and go, we're fine, like, we can still go and buy the other house, no problem,
Right.
then okay, it's a little bit easier to swallow, I hope. But that's a huge part. And a lot of people don't do that. A
I
lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, I wish, you know what? I wish it was up to me to make the market. Not. It's only up to me to analyze it. If it was up to me and the house was listed for 799 and it's your house and you're my client, I would make it worth $1 million. But it's not up to me, right? All I do is an analysis and we figure out, hey, here's what it should be, here's what it says, and the go.
I feel like you've said this before.
I multiple times. This is
Yeah,
the, this is the
put that script away, okay? Just me, man.
listen.
Put that away.
I'll tell you what, that is something I say all the time because it's true. I would, because I'm a nice guy. I want your house to be worth as much as it is. I'm a nice guy and I've got a magic mind, and we need that magic mind to be able to do this work, right? You need your mind to be on point, and the way that we've been doing it recently is by consuming these drinks called Magic Mind. It's a one-shot elixir. You can whip it back down. It doesn't replace your coffee, but I find it reduces your intake for coffee, and it really keeps you on point, especially when you're juggling all these different things in your head. Right now I'm negotiating 2 different transactions at the same time, 3 actually, and they all need different things. And I have to say, make sure that this person has all this information, and then their lawyer has it, and then the mortgage broker has it, and then the other agent has it. And then it's like, okay, but where are we at in each of those different transactions, in each of those different lanes? And I need to be sharp, right? I can't be loose. And it's the same with you. If I'm negotiating 3 deals at the same time, you're probably doing double, triple what I'm doing at any given time, right? Like, you're putting 10 on for every 3 that I'm doing. So you're more volume based than I am. So you need that magic mind too. You need that sharpness, as sharp as a tack. And that's what I find when I'm consuming these on a regular basis, that it's better, even with less sleep. Like last night, I had my 2-year-old was puking with a high fever. I'm like, great. Here's Sean on 4 hours sleep. It's like, there's mushrooms in it, so it makes me feel like, Super Mario. You touch the mushroom, you get bigger, you get smarter. That's my analogy for magic.
That's what we're going with now.
Hey,
Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, it's fun.
There's other things we can talk about with mushrooms. We won't. But there's a deal going right now. Real Collective 20. You can check the link below. It will give you 48% off your first subscription. And you want to do this as a subscription because it really starts to kick in as you get going. If you're not comfortable with it, you want to give it a trial run, you get 20% off. Again, the code Collective 20. Kyle, you've been working at it too. Big change for your world?
Yeah, like we've talked about it before, how we both were using it and then we stopped and now we're back on it. And I missed one today for some stupid reason, probably because I didn't have it first. I don't know, but I missed mine today and it's not the same. It's not even, yeah, it's not the same at all. It's an odd thing to be, just an odd thing to feel that difference. And that's 100% what's happening today. I'm not looking at, the golf is going to be hurting, especially with the way things are going.
But it's not. It doesn't feel like come down or crashy. It doesn't feel like jittery,
No,
withdrawally, or anything like that. Nothing like that. Like, it doesn't feel druggy. Like, it just feels like, hey, good. If I got it, I'm nice. If I don't have it, I'll be all right. but you notice it when you have it. I guess you don't notice it when you don't. That's what I find.
Yeah, yeah. Like I noticed now that I don't have it
Mm,
today. I
yeah,
noticed it. I noticed it now. And
yeah.
for because it was so consistent, it's just like, okay, this is how we feel. And then now that I don't, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is make sure that gets into the morning routine a lot more consistently than apparently I did. Or I don't know why I forgot it, but anyway.
Your mind, your golf on the brain. All right, so shifting gears a little bit, getting into story time. We love doing story time, of course. What deals are you working on right now? Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's talk about the rates. They're going to do a rate announcement. By the time this releases, the rate announcement will have happened. So
Yeah,
let's do a little El Predicto. What do you think they're going to do?
nothing.
Yeah.
They're not doing. I don't think personally. I don't think they're doing anything. I think the bookmakers in Toronto have changed that too. Like it at one point was really high that they were definitely going to do something. Now it's not nearly as high. I feel like I think in the mortgage space, it's 50. I think it's a 75-25 split. I think 75% of people are saying it's more like, yeah, nothing's happening. And unfortunately, people say, what, why not? Like everything's so high and so expensive and it's bad. Guys, it's not bad enough.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the only way we get that to come down is when the data says it's really, really bad and that the government believes that data. There's tons of data that says this sucks, but it doesn't suck enough. And that's really unfortunate, right? Like that's when you look back and at when rates were at their lowest, shit was bad in the world, right? COVID did not help things, right? Market crashes did not help things. Like it's yeah, that's when the rates were low.
Yeah.
So they're looking for that big enough crack. They're all there, just whether or not they've moved enough. And again, I'm getting people too, just to reiterate for the 95th time through this through our podcasts, right? Is people are sitting there waiting and waiting like like if TIFF does something next Tuesday or doesn't, all these fixed rates and stuff are going to drop. Remember, they only control one rate, which is the prime rate. So if you're on variable or adjustable, that's going to affect you or not if they don't move. Everything else that moves on the fixed rate side is based on speculation only. That's all it is. So there's so many other factors that go into that. This is one for sure, but they're not going to hit a button up, down, or stay on Tuesday next week or Thursday, whatever it is, the 5th, and then everything's going to just magically change. So if you're in that scenario, focus on what you have today.
Mm.
Buy the house you're going to buy because you want to buy, and then with enough runway, meaning enough months to closing, just keep checking in because we can move that deal, change that deal, drop the rate. We can do that. Don't sit there, wait until it's low, and then say, now I gotta go. You can these deals are malleable.
Yeah.
Things change on them all the time.
Yeah.
So don't sit there and wait on the fence for that. So yeah, but nothing's happening next week. I
I
don't think.
my line is with that we will be lucky to see a quarter point this summer. And I don't think
Yeah.
it happened June 5th. I think we're lucky if it happens July 24th. And people are saying, oh, well, if the rates go down, it's going to have a positive impact on the market, isn't it? And I say, not really. It won't have a dramatic impact on the market other than people's thoughts, right? About, oh, hey, here's what might happen. I don't think we've got enough people who are sitting there on the fence waiting that they're going to look up and say, hey, okay, good. The rates have come down, right? We talked about that. They're gonna come up and say, oh, hey, the rates have come down. Let me get booked again. What can I buy? It's the same fucking house you can buy. Oh, well, shit. I'll just keep waiting then, right? And then you're gonna be stuck on the sidelines. Keep waiting. I like when you said up, down, or straight. I heard up, down, left, right, A, B, A, B, start. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever cheat code I just punched in there.
yeah. So, but I guess my point is the best move is if you can afford the house, you like it, you want it, buy it now because over the next year, 2, 3 years, the rates will, if they do come down, it'll be like a point, maybe a point and a half at most. But when they come down that drastically, then the average price will go up. So I looked at the prices from like the baseline price, and this ties back into the summer is now thing. The highest sell price in 2023 average price was $646,000. That was in April 2023. After April, it sort of hovered around this. Now there's some pockets that are higher, there's some pockets that are lower, but that's the average, 646. Okay, that's across the real estate market in Ottawa. Now in 2024, we just reported the numbers from April. By the time this launches, we'll report the numbers from May. But in 2024, the average price in April was 648, $2,000 more. So, are the prices going to go up drastically? I don't think so. Even if the rates come down, I don't think they're going to come down. The prices are going to go up drastically. They're going to slowly go up. That's what we are in Ottawa. We're a slow up.
And it's the because it's the buying power, right? Like the interest rate's the mentality that people have, and it's got to be cheaper, right? It is ish, but it's not really, and it's that only buys you like percentiles of additional buying power.
That's right.
So someone who buys at 5 and then is able to go down to 4.5, he's not going to get $400,000 more house.
Right.
Like they're going to get a couple percentage points more house in terms of purchase price.
Right.
But It's not going to be like, holy shit, look how much more I can buy. Right. No. Your car payment, your credit card payment, your income rising 10 grand will get you far more buying power than a rate dropping 0.05, 0.10, 0.25 all the time.
Go make more money. Get that side hustle going.
But yeah, that's the answer. Unfortunately, that's the answer. The rates are not going to save you.
Yeah. Right.
If it drops a point, okay. Is it? No, it's not. Not in the short term. It isn't.
No.
So the true point of success here is income and less debt. If you believe in real estate and want to own a house, that's how you win. I wish it wasn't, but that's true. That's the way it is.
You know what?
I got a story about that. This is exactly how this stuff works, and I'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, talk about this. I'm gonna give you this one liner. You have a better chance of getting a raise from your boss than you have having any control over the interest rates. So don't ask your country what it can do for you. Go ask your boss.
Go ask what your boss can do to help you do something for your country.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, go hit it.
Do that.
Story time.
Yeah. So, and again, I have an interesting one where I've got it's a couple and the in-laws, so 4 people, and they're buying a house together, which makes sense. Generational home, right? Pricey thing. But what's interesting is that they're both selling their homes, obviously, using the equity to then pay this thing off full pop because it's a new build and they're moving into it and they're going to own it outright. Great move. Yep. Problem is we've got 2 different sales working with 2 different banks happening on 2 different days, 30 days apart.
Of course, yeah.
So what's interesting about this is that it's not necessarily that it's uncommon, but you've got a real different dynamic because from the consumer standpoint, right? The older folks have gone to their bank and said, okay, this is what we're doing. And the bank's like, okay, we can't really help you. What do you mean? We have all this money. It's like, well, first of all, you don't because it hasn't closed. Second of all, the majority of the money is coming from somebody else at somebody's other bank, right? So that's a different thing. And third, you don't qualify to get a mortgage on this place because you don't make enough money.
No.
Right? So the bank's like, yeah, we can't do this for you. And again, it's yeah, but you don't understand. We have all this other money. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't.
Yeah.
So we're trying to dance around this stuff. This is where private lending makes complete sense because they will see that. Problem is it's very expensive in this case because you're asking for a lot of money, right? To go out and do this, even though you've got 2 firm sales and all that. Someone out there is yelling at the screen saying, just do a bridge. Guys, you can't necessarily because you still have to have a mortgage on the other side to do a bridge. And the question is, do these people qualify for that mortgage? And currently, as just 2, they don't. So, we're working through that because it's, again, you're now dealing with Bank A's policy, Bank B's policy. They're different people, self-employed's in there. Like, pension income. It's a bunch of stuff. It's
Yeah,
fun. Like I'm gonna love to do this deal, and there's a solution. There's no way these guys don't close, in my opinion.
right.
It's just how good do we make it? But it's like that's the stuff where that's the kind of stuff that where I'm like where this spins off into a different direction for a sec. But it's like when people sit there and say, we don't need any help to do real estate. I'm like, really? Really? Sure, no problem. Maybe this is more of a financing thing, but I'm like, okay, you don't need help. You go figure this part out. You
As
go fight with the bank about this and figure this out. Good luck.
Yeah, it's maybe as if they had magic mind, then they'd be able to put it all together.
It would have been sharper.
That's it, exactly. No, so for me, for story time, I've got like I said, three different deals that I'm working on right now. Four actually, but three that are happening sort of quickly. One is more of a commercial deal, so it's taking a little longer. But things revealed in a home inspection and how the sell. So working with two different buyers, how the seller is addressing it, and two completely different experiences. One where the home inspector said, "Hey, there's some moisture content underneath the window," and they're like, "Yeah, hey, you know what? The window cracked. We had the window replaced. Obviously, they didn't caulk around it properly, and so." Okay, well, what are we going to do? Here's what we want you to do. We want you to do X, Y, and Z, open up the wall, make sure there's no moisture in there,
Oh,
kills, all that kind of stuff. The next day, the wall was open up, no moisture inside, no anything. Do you want to come back and look at it? This is all during the conditional period. All right. My clients are like, oh, wow. These guys are like on it. And the house showed immaculately. It was really well done. All like it was essentially a brand new house. And so,
they
like,
blew a hole. They blew a hole in their own wall to make sure this was okay.
yeah,
The
man.
sellers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. So,
Ballsy. Okay, cool.
yeah, my guys are like, obviously, these people are awesome. They've got nothing to hide. We're 100% comfortable moving forward as long as they make sure that that little piece of caulking goes in and they extract any water out of there. That's all. That's all we want. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye. Right. So good. Done deal. No problem. The other one, there is the seller, when we did the deal, her husband is a lawyer and he scratched out a bunch of stuff. So all of a sudden, my guy is going, whoa, what are you trying to hide here? Right. And then it's like, oh, by the way, we took out a wall between the kitchen and the living room. So now, hey, you took the wall out. Did you talk to the condo corporation about it? Well, yeah, we don't think we had to. Okay. Was it a load bearing wall? Oh, well, we'll get an engineer in to look at it. This is all post inspection, right? We'll get an engineer in to look at it. Okay, good. You get a stamp on it. We're good to move forward. Yeah, we're not getting a stamp on. We're not going to do that after all. We don't want to open it up and da da da. Oh, so you said you were going to do something and now you're not doing it after you scratched out all the stuff on your agreement of purchase and sale, saying here's what we're not representing and warranting. Whew, red flags, red flags. First time home buyer, never done this before. I'm like, how do I help you feel more confident about doing this? The reaction of the seller in these instances, and of course, the seller is reasonable, saying, I don't want to open this whole thing up. I know it's good. They have to believe us that it's good. Well, you haven't given us anything to believe you about. And you specifically scratched out things in the agreement of purchase and sale that are pretty much standard things because you wanted to lawyer it up and say, well, we can't absolutely 100% prove this to you, so we're not doing it. Anyways, the effect that it had on the psyche of those two different buyers, night and day difference. So my job now is to stick handle the emotions and hey, how can we solve for these things, right? The first one that I told you about with the water under the window, slam dunk, seller did a great job. The next one is going to take a lot more, particular hand holding because of first time buyer, right? Taking a lot of risk on, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't really know the process, hasn't been through it before. The other people are on a house hunting trip, so they're military, so they've moved a whole bunch of times. They know what they're doing.
This is also one of those things with the sellers, right? And again, it's buying and selling a house is one thing, but there's financing involved on both ends of it most of the time. And that kind of shit can blow your deal apart, right? So the seller's going to sit there and say, hey, I need you to trust me in all this stuff. And then the buyers be like, meh. And you know who comes and says, I don't trust you, Mr. Seller? Fucking bank does. We're not giving any money for this.
Right.
Because when you look at that and you've taken out all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
That's just red flags for the bank all day long.
that's right.
All day long. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Well, and then again, it goes back to the same point you made. You want to do this on your own? right?
Well, yeah, like I wasn't trying to go down that road, but I'm like, but this it the going on your own, and this ties into another one. The going on your own thing works, right? When it's if
When
you've
it's
got
cookie,
like when you're just fine with it.
yeah,
But the minute you get into this stuff,
yeah,
what do you know how to do?
right.
Right? What do you know how to do? I have another gentleman I'm working with, and he's an older gentleman, and he's had his house and all this kind of stuff. He signed and I don't know who his notary was. It started in Quebec. It's going to end in Ontario, but it starts in Quebec. I'm like, he signed a purchase and sale agreement that I think had almost a 18-month closing, and for a price that another agent who's now helping him with the purchase side of this here in Ontario is like, I don't think that's a very good price. Like, you should probably have got more. And now he can't because he has signed that deal. And it's like, I asked the agent, I'm like, did he get an appraisal? He's like, nope. I'm like, oh, he just took the neighbor's word for it. I was
Yeah,
like, this is what I'll totally give you this much money. Sounds like a big number. That's great. Now, again, maybe he's fine with that number. I'm not dogging that deal
sure.
completely.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
just saying you did that and didn't talk to anybody. And the notary, because in Quebec they all use the same one.
that's right.
They use the same one. And I can't remember my full experience there when I did my deal in Quebec personally, but can't remember what he talked about in terms of, because we didn't finance it, but and what he's disclosing and not disclosing. I don't know how that. I can't remember how that works.
Notary,
But
yeah, no,
I'm
notary,
like, no one told this guy like, hey, you might want to get an appraisal. You might
yeah,
want to do this way. You may
yeah.
not want to lock yourself into this deal for 18 months.
Yeah. Yeah, the notary in Quebec is not there to serve you as either a buyer or a seller. The notary is there to push the transaction forward.
Move paper. Yeah. Yeah.
That's all they do. Hey, you're putting this over here. Great. I am registering this at the title office. Next.
That's my next move there. So I'll report back on how that works because I'm
Well,
doing that next.
I moved
So,
out of Quebec, right? So
okay.
we bought our first house in Quebec, and we moved back to Canada about 4 years ago, and we sold in Quebec. Our cottage is in Quebec, so we bought another place in Quebec. So we're just
I just caught what you said there. I'm like, oh,
can't
that
get
was
away. Now, I mean, look, and the rules are all different, totally
Oh, we
different.
talked about that last time.
Yeah, I would call it Quebexico. Anyways, maybe I listen. Don't cancel me. If you live in Quebec, I've got great realtors who also work in Quebec who can help you out. I'm just not for me. Then that's all I'll say. Except for my cottage, I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends. As always, you can download
Look
the.
at the time. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I should have said all of it. You can download the buyer seller guides below. You can also check out the link below for Magic Mind if you want to be sharp as a tack. That's what you need to get. Magic Mind is going to do it for you. The little elixir in a bottle, a little shot that could. You can also book an appointment with Kyle or I in the Calendly links below if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you very much for your eyes. If you're listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, thank you very much. And until the next time, keep it real
Collective.